countries,
and not just for themselves, but for the next generation.
They've actually given
Giving
hope
hope
to
to
the
the
young
young
lady,
lady,
telling
telling
her
her
you can
you can
actually
actually
do
do
it.
it.
Their
Their
stories
stories
remind
remind
us
us
that
that
when
when women innovate,
an entire society
society
actually
actually
changes. As we
engage in
engage in
conversation
conversation
today.
today,
I
I
encourage
encourage
you
you
to
to
think
think
not
not
just
just
about
about
what
what
inspires
inspires
you,
you,
but
but
about
about
what
what
you
you
will
will
do
do next
next
to change the
to change the
world.
world.
How
How
would
would
you
you apply
apply
what
what
you
you
are
are
learning
learning
now?
now? Who
Who
would you
would you
connect
connect
with?
with?
What
What
action
action
will
will
you
you
take
take
to
to
drive the
drive the
change
change
in your sphere to influence others? Together,
together?
we
We
are
are
building
building
something
something
bigger
bigger
than
than
ourselves.
ourselves.
A
A
network of
network of
strong
strong
women
women
and allies who
and
are
allies who are
committed
committed
to
to
shaping a
shaping
future
a future
where
where
innovation is
innovation is
inclusive,
inclusive,
opportunities are
opportunities are
limitless,
limitless,
and
and
every
every
woman
woman
has the
has the
tools
tools
to
to
thrive.
thrive.
Once
Once
again,
again,
I want to
I want to
strongly,
strongly,
happily, with
happily,
all
with
my
all
heart,
my heart,
welcome you to
welcome you to
Inspiration to
Inspiration
Action
to
Event
Action Event
2025,
2025,
organized by
organized
Business Day and
by
Switch.
Business.
And I hope that today will be worth your while. And please make today count. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. Indeed, the call to action there is to please make today count. Let me welcome our other representative from our other sponsor, InterSwitch. This is in collaboration with InterSwitch, by the way, Mosu Mare, to come on and to give her own part.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so very much for honoring our invitation. My name is Mosmola Mare. Once again, you're welcome to InterSwitch Innovation Lab, where things happen, we're the big shakers. So yeah, thank you so much. Once again, happy International Women's Month. We're so delighted to have each and every one of you here, especially to our guest speakers. Thank you so much. We know how busy your schedules are, but you honored our invitation. Thank you. We're very grateful for that. And to every woman in the house, your dreams are valid. So please ensure you network with everyone here today, because these women, they're very hard to find, they're actually very hard to get through to. So they are here on a platter of gold. They didn't collect a dime from each and every one of, no dime was collected. So please try, let's give them a round of applause. So please network, mingle with people, meet with people, and don't forget, this is our year of action. Thank you, everyone.
Mosumola Mari there, she is part of the team here at InterSwitch Innovation Lab. When I walked in, I must say it's quite beautiful. Please invite me to come back. Thank you. Yes, indeed, today is also a day for a call to action that we must take the charge to lead, and for every field that we'll be getting into, whether it's leadership, whether it's tech, whether it's lifestyle, hospitality, entertainment, information, media, whatever it is, we must start to fill up those leadership roles and start to speak our thing. You know what I mean? Like, come out, be the ambassador of your craft. No one else is going to be the ambassador of your craft except yourself. And it is true. Sometimes women find it difficult to, want to. Sometimes when we come out to speak about what we're good at, it's almost like we're gloating or we're trying to, catch clouds, because we're women, traditionally Nigerian women or African women are supposed to be very meek, so to speak. And so that's changing. It will continue to change. That's being in your truth and saying that you are more than qualified for the job, and being the ambassador for your brand is not in any way clout chasing or positioning yourself for whatever that I don't like. I don't want to say the adjective. I really hate that word, so I don't want to say it. But anyway, it's time for me to introduce our speakers for today to discuss the topic, the panel discussion while we're here, why we're all here, which is inspiration to action. Now, during Linda's address, she pointed to one person who's going to be in the panel, which is, of course, Dr. Gloria Edozian. We have followed her journey, which is not just inspiring to action women that we know, but she's also held master classes and training sessions, and also her short clips and videos and her newsletters as well. It's endless, and she continues to inspire women, to push women, mentor women to take up positions of leadership and to be on those executive board, advisory board, and do more. But she's not the only one who's going to be on that panel. We are in safe hands. The panel today is, it's chef's kiss, sublime. So before we delve into our panel session, let me introduce our distinguished panelists. They are leaders in their respective fields who embody the theme of today's conversation, leveraging innovation for positive change. My first guest, or our first panelist for today, is the Chief Customer Officer for InterSwitch, Oremiye Aka. A round of applause. Oremiye Aka. Yes, please. Please, you get the mustard sit. It matches your shirt nicely, your outfit. You look really beautiful. Joining us as well is Dr. Gloria Edozie, and she's the founder, inspired by Glory Academy, BGA. A round of applause. It's like we picked the right chairs because this one also matches your dresses. Also joining us, coming up on stage, is Miss Abiola Adediran. She is a partner, Jania Family Office Limited. A round of applause. And we made a mistake here. We're sorry. We're sorry about that one. And also coming up here, she's the CEO, United Capital Asset Management Limited, Dr. Odiri Ogeni. A round of applause for her, please. Thank you so much. To join us here to be part of the panel discussion is Bisi Sotunde, Managing Director of BCB Events. She's on her way. All right. And lastly, the moderator for this panel. She's also a woman that I'm really excited to... please, allow me to introduce you. Please sit down. God bless you. Thank you. Don't be shy. That's what we're talking about 10 seconds ago. Own your stuff, okay? Let me do the honors. Can you? All right, thank you. The co-founder and deputy CEO, 715 Capital Limited, Adesuwa Bello Osage. She's the moderator for this panel. Please go ahead. So now I'll just hand over to our moderator to lead this enlightening discussion. Adesuwa. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome. I'm delighted to be moderating this panel discussion today. Our discussion will explore from a female lens and based on female perspectives how innovation fuels positive change and generates lasting impact. Beyond this, our discussion will highlight some of the challenges faced by women in business, and our esteemed panelists will share insights on overcoming or mitigating these challenges, along with valuable guidance on financial planning and personal branding, as well as practical steps for turning inspiration into action by using technology, network, and strategic thinking to advance in business and career. As you'll have heard from our lovely host and Ms. Linda, the conference is brought to you by BusinessDay and InterSwitch, so thanks a bunch to them for this. And it's a celebration of International Women's Day and seeks to showcase innovation, leadership, and the power of action in driving forward positive changes for women. I will start by permitting each of our esteemed panelists, who are all highly accomplished women in business, to please share with us a little bit to start off about their professional backgrounds, areas of expertise and interest, and about their current roles. Thank you so much. I think it might be easiest if we go left to right across the panel. Thank you.
Hello. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Dr. Odiri Ogeni. I'm the CEO of United Capital Asset Management. It's an investment management firm. My background is actually in finance. I'm a chartered accountant. I started in an audit firm for about 2 years, roughly, before I went into the industry, the investment industry. Along the line, I wrote the CFA exam. And today, I'm currently also the vice president of the CFA Society Nigeria. So along the line, I wrote the CFA exam, but my career has largely been focused on finance, accounting. I became the group CFO of United Capital PLC about 8 years ago. I was 33 years then. 15 months after, I was called to lead the asset management business, and I recall one of the statements that was made in the boardroom when the decision was made when I was not there was, she has a CFA, let her go and do the job. So what that meant for me was he opened a door for me that would not have been possible if I didn't have that. So that's how I transitioned from being a CFO to being a CEO, and this is my 7th year as the CEO of United Capital Asset Management. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I see beautiful faces. Lovely to be here. My name is Abiola Adediran. I'm a partner at Genia Family Office. Genia Family Office is an independent multi-family office that is set up to provide private wealth management solutions and legacy planning solutions to ultra-high net worth individuals and family businesses. So essentially what I have said in that long sentence is that we handle money. We make money, we multiply money, and we make sure that that money transitions to the next generation. That's what we're about, right? And this is something I'm really very, very passionate about because I'm a Christian and I believe that God is a God of generations. For those of you that are Christians, I'm sure you've read in your Bible where you hear God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So meaning that God himself is interested in generations. And so I'm passionate. And because I've also seen on the African continent that it seems like wealth really disappears after the first generation. I don't know how many of you have seen businesses that have been around for about 100 years and have been privileged to see businesses outside of Africa, in Europe, in Asia, that have been around for 16 generations and more. So you can imagine how many years those businesses have been around. So that's the fuel, that's the passion, that's the mission that we are on about at Genia, to ensure that successful family businesses don't die when their founders leave the scene. That we have many more businesses that can transition from one generation to the other, and the businesses that we all enjoy their products, we continue to enjoy them, and they also continue to be relevant. So a bit to me, in terms of my background, I started out in investment banking. I had a stint there because, of course, I've always liked big things. So things like deal structuring, just structuring deals and making money move. Just, I love those kind of things. So I started out in investment banking, but then I went into consulting, I think about a year after, because I also wanted to understand the financial services properly. I kind of felt like consulting would give me an opportunity to be able to go around the financial services without necessarily working in just one. So I went into audit specifically, but in financial services. So I got to audit banks, insurance companies, asset management companies, pension, just name them. I audited most of the major banks that you know, your Zenith, GT, Access, those were my clients. And that gave me an opportunity to really fully understand the financial services very well. At the age of 32, I was headhunted to lead the consolidation of a financial conglomerate, if I may call it that, right? And my job at the time was to go set up a holding company to manage about 16 subsidiaries. And so that was how I stepped into the role of a group CFO, right, at the time. And of course, that journey then also led me to set up and work with, of course, the team within the ecosystem to set up a single family office for the promoters of this business. And that was my foray into family office. Essentially, what I do today for multiple families actually started there, where I was able to create value and 10x, the portfolio that was handed to me in 2026 by the time I was living in 2022. Today, I work with multiple families in Nigeria and, in fact, Africa. And what I do basically is I help them to grow their wealth, but not just grow their wealth, to preserve it and necessarily ensure that their wealth is multi-generational. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. How do you introduce yourself after that? I was just like, keep talking, 10x, all of that. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Gloria Dozian. My background, today, People know me as a LinkedIn visibility and thought leadership expert. My focus is on helping women to see themselves so that other people can see them and they can attract the opportunities they want. But it didn't always start out that way. I was someone who, believe it or not, I was someone who wasn't very confident, someone who, just despised her natural giftings. And I went through a process, I would say a process of pruning to actually see myself. And that made me convinced that women hold so many capabilities, but because of what the messages that the world gives you, you don't see yourself. And you constantly hate on yourself, you want to be like other people. And at the end of the day, you don't reach your true potential. And that's how I really started my business. My background initially is in real estate and environmental planning. So I actually have a PhD in that. I was doing that job when I was doing, because I went from first degree to second degree, first degree to master's to PhD in 9 years, with hardly a year's break in between. And honestly, by the time I was done with my PhD, the only thing I wanted to do was make money. So when people were saying, oh, go and become a research fellow, I said, God forbid. I want to go and make money. So I got this job, I was making good money, I was like my mates. But I was saying to myself, like, okay, let me find women that are doing things that are inspiring. This is how Inspired by Glory came about. I actually never wanted to have a business with my name in it because it sounded very boutique, like Chuka and Sons. I actually never wanted to have a business with my name in it. I'm in Botu now, right? I just never wanted, but I started this series. I said, okay, so I would meet women that were inspiring me, and I said, okay, maybe I can get close to her, find out how she's managing to live this life that is just off the grain. And then I said to myself, maybe other people would like to learn too. So in those days, this is 2013, 2014, I started a YouTube talk show called Inspire Series. And from there, I said, okay, I'm going to quit my job. This is what I want to do full time. Very foolish. I was earning money, and I thought, okay, I will go and be selling inspiration. And of course, nobody bought. Because we were like, I don't understand. I go to church for that. Like, I don't need you to inspire me. So I remember my very first event, I was going to talk about confidence. And so I put up this flyer, and I wrote this emotional story. And Instagram had just come out then. And everybody was commenting, oh my God, Gloria, you're doing such a good job. And I was feeling really it. And this event was 10K for people to attend. Nobody paid. Nobody. And the only person that paid said she would pay 5,000 and she'll come and help me with with registration. I had to refund her 5,000 when nobody else. I didn't see the remaining 9 people because I wanted 10 people. And so that really began my journey of introspection. What do I have that people want? How do I build a brand that I want to be known for, that actually helps people? And here I am today.
Hello, everyone. Great to be here. So this is my office. So I work at InterSwitch, and I have worked at InterSwitch for 22 years. I joined InterSwitch straight out of school. Yeah, so I actually joined before we had a name. We're just a project concept. And my mother was like, people make 2-1 in engineering, you go to oil company. Where do you work? I was like, we're going to use ATM to make people withdraw card. My mother looked at me. She now said, after your NYC, you will leave there, B? Because she was so sure this was not okay. And then I remember once I went for NYC CD when other coppers come. And people say, why are you serving UBA? Why are you serving MTN? MTN just came. Where are you serving? I said, InterSwitch. What's that? Hey, I said, God, my village people. I said, we're going to help people use ATM.
Being in the industry as an usher in 2007, and the usher of those days, 2007, right now has evolved. I'm now an industry leader. I run several businesses within the ecosystem of the events. I train, I mentor, I stand. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to share my knowledge and my growth as an entrepreneur. I studied chemical engineering, but I'm doing events right now full time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And finally, before we get into our discussion properly, I was asked to give a brief introduction of myself and my background. I'm a Harvard alum and a lawyer. I qualified in England and Nigeria. I practiced corporate private equity law in England for a couple of years. And currently, I'm the Deputy CEO and a co-founder of 715 Capital, which is a real estate development and investment firm. It's headquartered in Abuja, but expanding to Lagos. I'm also CEO of our sister company, which is focused on hospitality, called Hus Collection. We recently launched our first boutique hotel in Maitama, Abuja, called Clay House. Thank you. I chair our philanthropic foundation, the 715 Foundation, and I serve as a non-executive director of the pensions company, PAL Pensions. So thank you so much for having me as a moderator today. The first area of discussion I had wanted to focus on is transforming landscapes and how innovation is transforming financial and business landscapes for women, in particular in light of the challenges experienced by women in business. I thought first about financial inclusion and accessibility. And this is an area that, despite challenges, has certainly improved in the past several years, and much of that has been due to digital payment. So I wanted to start by asking Ms. Aka about how she felt, the innovation in digital payments have transformed accessibility, financial accessibility and inclusion, in particular for women in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you. So the question is, how do I perceive innovation in digital payments to have improved accessibility specifically? Why this is very relevant to us is because in Africa, and I like to talk from an Africa context because clearly I'm African. In Africa, we have a major challenge, and the challenge is the infrastructure gap. It's very real. So there's this cliche term of leapfrogging. But in Africa, it's so important because it's really what you have to do. When you look at people that have access, now access is the ability to reach and get what you are reaching for. We have real gaps. One, there is knowledge access. Knowledge, there's the gap in knowledge. A lot of people don't know what is available. And when you don't know what's available, you can't reach out. There's the confidence gap, which again a lot of women tend to suffer a lot from. Again, it's made more major in Africa because you talk of education is not as high as in other continents. So typically people are not very enlightened. People may not averagely. So we are sitting in this room, but we are not the majority, guys. We are the minority. A lot of people don't have access to knowledge, don't have access to know what's out there. So one of the things that technology has done that no other industry was able to do, access to school. They may not have access to a bank, but they have a phone. They have press, they have not 9 Not. They have not 9 Not. They have Palasa, right? Nokia 3310. It was able to enter where education could not enter. It was able to enter where so this thing, therefore, a phone is not just a nice to have. It is a channel of access in Africa, and very important. So therefore, when we now come to the space of innovation, being able to take that thing that has been able to penetrate where others could not penetrate and being able to use it for many other things is very important. And that is why when it comes to payments, if you are discussing payments, again, looking at the social economic pyramid, the way you will talk of payments to a high net worth individual, your customers that are dealing in media, it's not the same way you talk to it for the people at the bottom of the pyramid. Why it is important to talk about it for the people at the bottom of the pyramid? Because that is sometimes 70% of your population. So it becomes very important so that you can not just have a few customers that are profitable, but you can really solve problems. Again, I'm going back, InterSwitch, our purpose is to inspire Africa to greatness. So if we are not doing anything that is scaling or that is meeting people at every sector, we are not doing well. So I'll summarize by saying I see technology as being that thing, that tool that has been able to penetrate where others couldn't. So now we are able to reach people and give one information. There are people offering micro loans, right? Secluded. She's a for a friend, and I see what they are doing. And I mean, someone is able in my church. A lady was able to access ₦1,000,000, and even though her interest was close to what the banks were doing, no bank was ready to give it to her. Go and bring your father's house. Go and bring your dead uncle's finger as collateral. But she was able to get it from Secluded. How did she know? Because she was able, I mean, technology has now made it, information was able to reach her. She knows, she was able to take the loan, she can do more. So that is what innovation has done. It has brought access to where we couldn't get to before. It's doing a lot for children. And when I talk of children, I'm talking of female children as well, that some places they can't go to school. But now there are places where you can see education curricula be delivered on those press Palasa phones, and people are reading, people are learning. So there is so much that has happened. There's so much more that can happen. We have our work cut out for us, guys, in Africa. So much to do, but technology has definitely paved the way. I hope I responded properly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Aka. Ms. Shotunde, I wanted to turn to another area of business, so the events management industry. We've heard now from Ms. Aka about the impact in the sort of digital payment space, you know, with financial accessibility and inclusion. Have you seen any developments due to innovation in the events management industry, or an impact for events professionals? Has there been some sort of impact in the growth of the industry, or helping to solve certain challenges, perhaps?
Okay, so yes. So first of all, I like the angle which she came from in terms of the use of mobile phone. And in events these days, you know, especially for event planners, decorators, your mobile phone is the fastest or the easiest device to use to get information. So a client is looking for a planner or a decorator, and just on Instagram, she just put a hashtag, event planner in Lagos, event planner in Nigeria. Immediately, some things pops up. So I would say, first of all, that for us in the event industry, having to leverage social media platform, it's actually a plus. In fact, these days, they tell you your gallery is your Instagram or your TikTok page. So you have to follow the trend. Gone are the days where yes, referrals come into play, you know, word of mouth come into play, but leveraging the social media has actually helped. I just finished the presentation, you know, before coming here now. One thing that has helped us as an industry is using the AI. So for us, we do a lot of mood boards, we do a lot of we do a lot of presentations, and so leveraging tools like Meta AI, Chat GPT, we use that to generate the pictures, the inspiration. So rather than you thinking, okay, this person wants this stage to be like this, or I want to transform this space, once you just give the prompt, you know, to AI, it gives you an image depending on the exact prompt. Like the presentation I just finished now was on culture and tradition and leveraging event experience, and the pictures was exactly what wowed the client, because the prompt we gave it was generate an image that depicts culture in so states, whereby they can appreciate, you know, the ambience and all of that. So it is a gradual process. 2 years ago, my conference, Busy Bison, we did the theme was tech in event business. So we are not where we are supposed to be if you're comparing to our international counterparts, but it's a work in progress. So yes, it has helped us in terms of knowledge, in terms of visibility, in terms of embracing the trend, as well as trying to match up with our international counterparts.
Thank you. And just to pick up from that, would you say that the top trends or, you know, tools that you've noticed currently are AI, and then sort of social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, you know, Twitter, or sorry, formerly Twitter, now X?
Okay, so we have a lot of tools that has helped us. Of course, Canva is part of the tools that we use when we want to generate this what we call mood board. Mood board is the pictorial inspiration. Of course, using Zoom platform for virtual events. When the COVID went down, my company was one of the people who leveraged a lot on Zoom. We had Zoom parties, virtual parties, and all of that. So I would say generally that the social media just helped to boost the visibility. So now a client, you know, calls and says, oh, I want to plan this, and they say, can I see your work? And the first thing they ask is, what's your Instagram page? In fact, sometimes it's so bad that the clients judge you by the number of followers. If you have 1,000 followers, then they say, oh, you are not so good. Or they check the last time you posted. So if you posted in January, they assume that from January to March, you do have a job. Meanwhile, sometimes maybe you are overwhelmed or you just don't have the time. So right now, we are also at the forefront of encouraging our colleagues to say, you know what, leverage on social media, especially Instagram, and then jump on TikTok, and then leverage on other platforms like the LinkedIn and all of that. Google My Business has also been very amazing. For me, my business, I've gotten a lot of jobs through Google. So if right now, if you type on your phone, top event planner in Lagos, top event planner in Nigeria, or event planning school, my business will come up. And that's because I have also leveraged on Google, have used the right key and search words and all of that. So yes, we're embracing it. We're not.
Thank you so much. I think that point about sort of search engine optimization is one that, you know, is a really, really key one for women in business right now and looking to promote their businesses. I'd like to turn now to Dr. Edozian. You know, given your work in training female executives, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what innovative strategies you think are most effective when it comes to, you know, female executives dealing with the challenges within that space, sort of empowering female executives and some of the things that they might struggle with as they think of their careers.
So thank you so much for the question. So I was actually sitting down and I was thinking, when everybody was speaking, I was thinking, okay, how is innovation really, what does it do with this, have to do with visibility? So I think, you know, when we were in secondary school, or even in university, the teacher is teaching, and they will say, oh, 1 + 1 equals, and they will turn, and they'll say, Google me, answer, and you have your hand up, and they will pick you, right? And you answer the question. It was very easy then to be visible, to be known. The smart ones sat in front of the class. The ones that were sleeping like me, I remember in geography class, I would put my head like this, and I'll put my pen up, so it would be as if I'm writing, and I'll sit at the back of the class, right? So it was very easy, and I remember in my dad's day, my dad was a medical doctor, became a civil servant. You take a job, and slowly you are growing. You know, you are growing, and then at the end, at 60, you retire. They give you a gold watch. You move to the village. Life was like a straightforward process. But now everything is on its head, right? We have social media that has democratized access. Right? Now you have people that start a job and they're getting promoted and you're wondering why, what's going on? There are people that, especially during COVID, there are people that now they live and work in Nigeria, but they have remote jobs from Cancun. I interviewed somebody the other day and she was like, oh, I only do your job in the evening because I'm working in America from 9 to 5 or something like that. You know, everything is just very different. And I think, first of all, what are the innovative strategies that women can really use? The first is digital media. I really think that if you're a female executive and you want to be known in your industry and you're not on any professional platform, I think you're doing yourself a disservice because nobody is going to know about you. This idea of working hard, every female conference I go to, women must work twice as hard, work 5 times as hard. You have to be excellent. Don't you know excellent people that don't deserve it but are getting the opportunities? Yes. Because, yes, work hard. I'm not saying you shouldn't work hard. 4 people attack me. Work hard. Work hard, but let your hard work be known. So you leverage social media. Another thing that is also happening now is, you know, when she said ChatGPT, I was really thinking. And really, ChatGPT I was at a conference yesterday, and somebody got up and asked a question. He said, you know, I want to be on LinkedIn, but there are so many charlatans. Charlatans everywhere. And it is true. You know, you see somebody, the person will write one post. You're like, oh, this is so interesting. You go and see the person's page. The person has 3 years of experience. And you are now wondering, really, because now anybody can write anything and claim that they have the expertise. The problem will now come when they give you the money to execute. And the whole house that's bachelor bills will fall down. Because you don't know your left from your right. But by that time, the organization has already spent. And then they will now start taking you to go for training and all of that. So what should you do? I think for me, yes, you can leverage AI and all of that, but also an innovative way of getting seen is to leverage your experience. What have you been doing in your career? How do you tell stories about the things that you have been doing? A key thing that I always tell people is, you see, they always say you are the CEO of your career, but you are also the chief marketing officer of your career. You need to see yourself as a global organization. what would a global organization do? How would they present themselves? So to summarize, innovative strategies, yes, using digital media, but also leveraging your experience.
Thank you so much for that. Mr. Dediro, you deal with wealth management and creation, and retention. And despite what we said and celebrated about, female MDs and various females now in key leadership positions, I think we're all clear that there's still that wealth gap when it comes to, women and men in our country. Are there ways in which you think we can be better using innovation to close this gap, perhaps, through better financial literacy and other things that we can offer to women to help in this way?
Absolutely. So, interestingly, my work is focused on the top 1%, but I also have a mission, right, especially for women. Women that are doing business, and even women in career, and even men alike as well. So what I've been able to do in the last 2 to 3 years is to seek to democratize access to information and access to knowledge. So even though I serve the top 1%, I leverage that experience and I bring it down to the level of somebody that is still trying to save 1 million and say, how can you really build wealth and consistently do it, even though you're doing it in trickles, but leveraging, the practices and the principles that has helped the ultra wealthy to build wealth. You can also begin to put your 1 kobo and 2 kobo together, and ultimately you will get there. And to what you said about that wealth gap with men and women, it is real. Guys, it is real. We're not going to lie here, right? And the problem is because a lot of women have made money conversations masculine. Naturally, women just take the back seat when we're talking about money. You would even find business owners who will tell you, oh, I don't like numbers. You see those number things? I will just give it to my accountant. They will sort it out for me. So naturally, we women think about our money in terms of spending. So your husband gives you money if you're married, and the next thing you're thinking is how to buy things for everybody, right? You make your own money, right? And apart from buying stuff for yourself, you think of how to take care of your siblings, how to buy something for your mom, for people in the family, people around you. So because of the way we are wired as women, we're always thinking in terms of nurturing. And so naturally, we just tend to think about our money in terms of spending. So it takes a lot of financial literacy for a woman to begin to see her money as more than just money to spend, but money to invest and then to build wealth. Interestingly, in my experience with women, I find that they're very uncomfortable when you're talking to them about investment because they just feel like they don't think it's a woman thing to build wealth. It just feels like you're trying to make them masculine by having that conversation. Because we've been wired, we've been socialized a certain type of way where we feel like, oh, it's the man of the house that should be worried about money, that should take care of money matters. But you and I know that there have been women that their husbands, just out of the blues, died or lost their jobs or their source of income. And now it's back to you, the woman, who has not been empowered. Now, I would say that things are changing because, in the last maybe 5-10 years, of course, with the rise of technology and all of that, a lot more women are beginning to become more aware. And I would say that we're still on a journey, we're not yet there, because now, even me, I have taken it upon myself. It's now a personal mission. I just finished a 21 days wealth building challenge. And a lot of the people there were not wealthy people. They are people that are interested in building wealth, but need to understand how. Right? So it's now my personal mission to leverage education to get people to change their mindset. Interestingly, I had a session with a couple of them that have been part of the program, today, just to understand what their feedback has been. What I kept hearing was, oh my God, it was an awakening. It was a mindset change. It was a this, it was a that. So it just goes back to tell me that, yes, there is innovation that is happening because people now have access to more information. People are now on social media. There is a wave of personal finance coaches on social media as well. while that can be good or bad in terms of being able to decipher who really knows their stuff and you can really take advice from, I think it also just democratizes information, really. On YouTube now, you can learn about just about anything. How to invest in the stock market, how to buy foreign stocks, how to put your money in trickles and build wealth. So I would say that social media has definitely made it possible for women now to have access to more information. I would also say that even access to, like Aka said, in terms of your access to information through your phones. I mean, all the banks now have apps. All fintech, companies have apps. So you don't even have an excuse right now. Gone are the days where you would tell yourself, oh, it's because the bank is far from me, or I don't have time to go to the bank. Like, literally on your phone, you can invest, you can save, you can buy stocks, you can learn, not just save. I mean, on Piggy Bank, on Piggyvest, right? If you go on their apps, they would even suggest things to you. They will educate you. Bamboo apps, and there are many of them. I've just, picked a few. There are many of them that are in the market right now that will teach you before they tell you what to invest in. So you don't even necessarily have to get a personal finance coach in form of a human being, per se. So there are now platforms that are also democratizing financial literacy, financial education. And I can only hope that this will continue to reach as many people as possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Ogini, given your experience and role in asset management, it would be really interesting to hear whether the points that the other panelists have made about some of the challenges resonate with you and your perspective in the asset management space. What challenges a woman might face entering into the asset management industry, in Nigeria right now. Are there any specific challenges or unique perspectives that you feel the other panelists perhaps haven't highlighted at this point, and some innovative ways in which one could deal with them?
All right, thank you very much for that question. So there is I won't say a thin line, but asset management and wealth management, they coexist together. So in asset management or investment management, basically what we do is to create products for people who don't have the capacity. So she talks a lot about HNI, ultra HNI. But there are people who don't have the capacity to play in the stock market. They don't have the capacity to buy the treasury bill. If you want to buy a treasury bill today, you need a minimum of 50 million naira. If you want to buy Euro bonds, you need a minimum of $250,000. So what the asset manager has done is to create investment products, what we call mutual funds, such that with your $100, with your 1,000 naira, you are able to access those products that are very ideal for the ultra HNI that they collect, and then you get, to a large extent, almost similar returns that they are getting. So one of the major innovations we've seen in the investment management space is really the concept of mutual funds. And mutual funds basically mean that you pool funds together from a number of investors, and then you invest in certain instruments. Now, for us, we are also very particular about the way women see investment products. So in 2017, we launched what we call Wealth for Women Fund. It's a mutual fund, but it was strictly dedicated for women. And the concept is this: women, we save, and we save a lot. But when it comes to investing, when it comes to taking risk, we shy away from it. And so the idea for that fund was, how can women begin to save as little as 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira for a long-term objective like retirement? Because what we've seen over the years is that, women tend to live longer than men, at least an average of 5 to 7 years. And so you might be working and earning, but at the end of the day, you get to a point where you are retired and you don't have the capacity to work again, and you are struggling. One of the conversations we used to have then, you see a lot of women say, oh, my children will take care of me at retirement. Please, have you gone to X or Twitter and asked those Gen Z whether they are interested in taking care of their parents? So the concept was to help women begin to set aside as little as 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira for their retirement. So it's a long-term objective, because the concept of women saving also is, we wanted to shift their perspective from monies for things and day-to-day, but to begin to prioritize long-term objectives. So we set up the Wealth for Women Fund, as a way to encourage more women to invest in the capital market. But the truth is that 40% of the fund then was invested in the capital market, in stocks, and then the remaining 60% was reinvested liquid asset or short-term asset or risk-free asset. But, my boss said, you created a product for women and the women are not investing in the product. What kind of thing is this? And so when we began to ask women, we realized that a lot of them said, I don't want to lose my principal. So they were not willing to take risk. So because definitely if you invest in the stock market, you buy UBA today at 20 naira, tomorrow it might be 19, or, So women said, I didn't want to lose my capital. So we had to go back to that product and see how we can reduce the percentage of allocated to the equities market, but still retain it, because the truth is that the equities market do well over a long period of time, and you tend to earn above fixed or conservative investment playing in the equities market. And we wanted to teach women the concept of risky investment and taking risk with their money, because if you're not taking risk with your money, you can as well just go and keep it in the bank account. So for us, one of the innovations we did was creating the Wealth for Women Fund product. And we've seen significant traction. Today, as a firm, we manage over 1 trillion in assets, and a significant portion of that is, from women learning to save and invest. But one other thing I'm going to say is, this IWD event, one of the things that we did was to reach out to companies to gift their female employee an investment. So, on March 8th, or, IWD Day, people are giving you small chops or food or a pack or a box. So we said, in addition to that, or if you're not willing to, but in addition to that, gift your female employee an investment. And we saw a number of firms, standing up to say, okay, I'm gifting all the female employees 5,000, 10,000 in the Wealth for Women Fund. And for me, it was amazing, because it was a way for women to get a foothold into the concept of investing. Because by the time they see their statement, they say, oh, this money has grown. No. They're now encouraged, to top up and put their own money. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I think you mentioning the Women for Wealth Fund really shows how businesses can support women and the sort of important role that they all have to play in this as well. And I think it feeds into our next general topic area, how women can overcome barriers to leadership and entrepreneurship. So in your case, you're right at the top of your business, right? And so I think it would be great to hear a bit more about how women perhaps who are not in that same leadership position can encourage whatever businesses in which they're involved to be supportive of women, think of different initiatives, right, that can be implemented to support women. Do you have any thoughts on that, please, or advice?
Well, there's this, I won't call it a rumor or a myth that women don't support women. I think that's not the case. I think it's a function of perspective. And it's a wrong perspective, because if I see a young female in my team, I had a young female in my team, when I push her to do more, she says, oh, Diri is wicked to me. Diri doesn't like me. And I said, well, why would you say I don't like you? So the truth is that for us as women, we want to bring out the best in you. So we push you. Because we see that sometimes you can be a little laid back, and the guys are doing well. So we want to push you a little, and when we give that push, you say, oh, she doesn't like me. It's because she doesn't like me. So I think it's a mindset thing, and it's something that even within my own sphere of influence, and I think it's to encourage every other person within your sphere of influence to change. I had a colleague who was leaving my firm to another firm, and during the exit interview, when I asked her a question, why are you leaving? One of the things she said, Odiri doesn't like me. And I asked her, will you prefer to be liked or respected? Sincerely. And I said, okay, why do you think that Odiri doesn't like you? Because, you're not at a junior level, but there are other junior members in the team. And when I get, smaller transactions, I give it to them. But I place you on a cadre that is much higher than the way I see you. And put you with more, mid-level. And because of that, because of you really like to, mingle with, I said, no, that's the case. In actual fact, when her boss was going on leave, I said, madam, your boss is on leave. It's an opportunity for you to shine. It's an opportunity for me to see the work that you are doing. And so I kept, nudging and pushing. So these days, I nudge carefully. Yes, because I think that maybe it's a generational thing, or people just take it for granted. So I nudge carefully, and it's a feedback. It's not, but it's also a feedback. So I nudge carefully, but when I see that, it's putting you under pressure, I call you and discuss it. And again, I also like open door policy for me.
people should be able to come and talk. And I think that is something that for us as women at that level, we should be able to encourage younger women, to be able to speak up, and not judge them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Aka, you've been with InterSwitch for about 2 decades, and they're obviously supporting, this conference here today. As you've grown with the company, have you encountered any challenges on your journey when it comes to, encouraging the company to support women and implement some of these initiatives? And how have you dealt with that?
Thank you. So I was the first person to go on maternity leave in InterSwitch. HR was confused. Like, what do we do? What do we do? Oh, it's 3 months, right? Okay, fill the form. Which form? There's no form. Okay, let's find the form. It was so hilarious. And then they said, when are you coming back? We started counting 1, 2, 3. Count it. What day? Okay, But now, InterSwitch has an amazing policy. You go on maternity leave 3 months, then you can work remotely for 3 months, and then you come back, you have 10% added to your appraisal that year. Yes. Then we have a crèche. We partner. So I'm just saying, what a huge, right? Yeah, and then we have people that say, okay, I want to go abroad to give birth, that kind of thing. So you start early, you can work remotely, even though you've not started, you can do that. Then when the maternity leave kicks in, so it's just a huge gap, and we have progressed. And I really think our HR and Mitchell, our MD, is very, conscious that, look, I don't want people to get uncomfortable. When I was head of core operations are core operations, the core. So we're 120 in the team, and then people work Saturdays, they work nights, because this was call center, this now with the so we say, I can't work night to have a baby, and then we're like, so at a time we'll be trying not to give them, but the guys too are human. So we now said, that's when we now thought, what if we had a crèche? What if we had a crèche that so they can do their weekend shift? So even if you say, okay, you're off night, but at least you will do weekend, you will do evening. And so there was this crèche. I know they've moved at the Junction, First Bank building. There was a crèche, so we partnered. And it was so welcome. A lot of people someone wrote me and said, oh, because of this crèche, I was able to continue my job. I didn't have to stop my job. Thank you. I remember then we worked with our HR BP to define the flow, the payment, and it was so positive. Today, I know InterSwitch has something. I don't have the full details, but they have something that supports that. And when we move to our permanent site, we will have a crèche. So, does that? Nearly 50% of our management staff are women. So our CFO is a woman, Chinomso amazing. Our head of strategy is a woman. We have 6 business lines. Chinyere heads one. Titi is one of our senior leaders of operations. She's a woman. Our head of operations, Halimama, is a woman. We have a lot of women, and it's deliberate. It's not like we say she's a woman, give her the job. They are competent women. And that's another thing I'll say. While, yes, we want women to be there, but you need to show that competence. And women, we are quite smart. We're quite smart. Just put your mind into it. Refuse to take the easier way. Like I said, when they push you, they don't hate you.
And all of a sudden you become confident. It's a muscle. And which is why feedback.
Men, yeah, should know. Either from Dr. Ogini or Ms. Adedimo, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. There are many. There are many, but I think I'll just share 3 that I think are very profound. And irrespective of where you are, right, because I usually tell people, when you want to plan towards building wealth, you need to start from where you are. So meaning that you do a current state assessment. Today, I'm in a negative position because I'm owing more people, right? Or I have more debts, or I have more liabilities than assets. It's good to own where you are and just be clear on where you are. That's number 1. Number 2 is have a picture of the future that you want to achieve or attain, right? Because I feel like that future or that picture is what will really drive you to stay consistent. There's nothing here that I'm going to share with you that will make you move if you don't believe in where you're going. Do you see? So I feel like that picture of the future needs to be clear. Now, these are not accounting or financial or any technical anything. Just you being clear about what it is that you want for your life. And many times when I'm in training sessions or I'm just sitting with women and just charging them, one of the things I say to them is that you need to define what wealth means for you. For some people, wealth is just that they are able to send their kids to the best school because they didn't have the kind of education that they would want their kids to have. For some other people, it's just that freedom to be able to do whatever they like without having to think about money, right? So freedom is anything you call it for yourself. So define it. That's number one that I would say. Number two also is the fact that for you to grow your wealth or for you to become financially free, don't think in terms of income alone. Because how much you earn is not what determines whether you're going to be wealthy. We have seen people that earn a lot of money, and then something just happens to them drastically, and then they're back to here. And then you're wondering, but this man used to do very well. I mean, these are people that used to go on first class, that used to, afford the luxury things and all that, but maybe something just happened, and then they're back here. That's because there was never a backup anywhere. There was nothing to fall back on. They didn't build assets. So if you're going to be financially free, it's going to be a function of the assets that you own, not necessarily how much you are earning. And I think this should set some people free. Because what that means is that even if you're earning 100K today, it means that you can work towards ownership of assets with 1K, 2K, 5K, knowing that you can begin to add 1 or 2 together until it becomes 1 million and then 10 million and then on and on. So don't fixate on, I'm not making a lot of money. That's why I cannot start my own wealth-building journey. And because we're even talking about innovation now, all these apps that you see all over have sort of democratized your access to, just think about what she said. You're able to come into a mutual fund with as little as your 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 100,000, something that you not have even been able to talk about or think about if you didn't have as much as, 5 million and above, right? But now with your little money, you can do something. So for me, it's really about being intentional, about owning assets, not fixating on how much you're earning in terms of income. Another principle that I think is very important is that money loves structure. Have you ever heard before where people will tell you, I looked at my bank statement, I saw how much money had gone through my bank, but I don't know where my money is. I don't know where my money is going. How many of you have said that before? Like you just look at it and you're wondering, have you done that thing at the end of the year? You just sum up all the credits in your bank statement. You see some zeros and you're wondering, please, where is this money? How did I collect this money and what did I do with it? Now that's the reality for us when we don't intentionally send our money on errands. And because money is a servant, is a bad master, if you don't recognize that your money is a servant and that you should give it errands, it will go a wall. It will fly by itself and go where you did not send it. So money loves structure. Before any money comes into your hand, decide what that money is going to be for before it even enters your hand. When that money enters your hand, you're already saying, go here, go there. If somebody now comes to you and says, come and borrow me money, be like, I don't have all. And you are right, you're not lying. You don't have. Because you've sent it on errands. Practically. We women love to save and we like to be looking at our money, how it is adding 1 to 2, 2 is becoming 4. Do you see? And then somebody comes to you and says, please come and borrow me money. Your conscience will not allow you to say you don't have because you can see it, you have. And so if you say you don't have, you look like you are lying. You understand? So you'll be like, hey, what am I going to do? And then you give. And then money doesn't come back. Even with giving, have a budget. That's also another principle. Budget everything. Even your enjoyment, budget it. I love baby girl life. Yes, as much as I talk about, investing, building for the future, I also believe in nourishing your soul. You understand? Because when your soul is nourished, you receive the strength and the energy to carry good wealth, right? Budget for it so that you don't feel guilty when you spend on those things. Do you see what I mean? So 50, 30, 20 rule is what I recommend if you're starting. 50% of your income can go into your needs, your lifestyle expenses. 30% should go into whether you're paying debt. For instance, maybe you borrowed money, you have a loan you're paying, 30% of your income should go and service that. Do you see? Or your needs, things that are, your wants rather, lifestyle wants. For instance, you want to aspire to maybe do a master's and you need to save towards it. Put it there. You want to travel for vacation. Put it there. It's your want, right? And they fulfill you one way or the other. Budget for it. And then the remaining 20, don't joke with it. And that leads me to the last principle. You see that 20 that I'm talking about is your own. Every money that comes into your hand already has people that are going to collect it from you. So you're actually working for everybody else when you don't pay yourself. That 20% is your own. So the last point is pay yourself first. Take that 20%, put it in your savings, and then, of course, ultimately convert it to an investment. That is the portion that is for you. The remaining one, rent to collect it, transport to collect it, makeup artist to collect it. Who else? There are plenty that are coming after that money that is coming into your hand. Guess what? That 20% that you save and invest is your own. If you don't do it, you're doing yourself a disservice. Literally working for other people but you. I hope that will help you.
Thank you. Yeah, please, Dr. Ogini, if you could share some of your thoughts as well on some, principles, maybe even some specific opportunities, investment opportunities that you see, for women across this year, asset classes, anything like that. We're trying to be rich aunties.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Biola, for that. As she was speaking, I just remembered, I said using Excel to do budgeting. And I still have the budget I prepared for as far back as 2013. Yes, I still have that. So I use Excel, even with all the app and everything, I still use Excel to prepare my budget. So in addition to what she has said, I'll just add three things. Number one is setting goals, setting financial goals. What is your objective? One of the things I have started doing is that my net worth must be 3 times minimum my annual salary. So what that means is that if your annual salary gross, because people are asking, is it gross or net? Just start with gross. It's 10 million naira. It means that your net worth must be a minimum of 30 million naira. It was a goal I set for myself. I wasn't there when I set that goal. Today I'm pushing to 5 times. So it's important for you. It's important for you to set a goal. And when you set a goal, a lot of time when we set the goals, we are setting the goals based on where we are now. No, you set a goal based on where you want to go. So I highly recommend, just look at your position, assess where you are. Your net worth should be your total assets, your investment, the money in your bank account. You can even add your gold. You can add your car, house, and then you deduct your liabilities, the people you are owing, the people that are, chasing you, or if it's if it's mortgage, if it's car loan, deduct it from that, and then whatever that balance is must be a minimum of 3 times what your annual salary is. That's the first thing. The second thing is, second principle is seek professional advice. A lot of the time, women take advice from anybody, your sister, your nanny, your pastor in the church. How did crypto go wide like this? It was everybody. Everybody was providing investment. Oh, I invested in crypto. So it is important for us to seek professional advice, not your parents. I used to make this joke. If you go to the hospital and you're talking to the receptionist and she says, oh, I can treat you, I can diagnose, and will you accept? So why will you accept, money advice from somebody who is not a professional? So it's important for us to, as women, to seek, I said professional, because the truth is that these days there are a lot of people that can give you advice that are not professional. And they are giving it from a good intent, but they are not professional. So the goal is, and the operative word there is seek professional advice. And then the third thing I'll talk about is take risk. And then I will dive into some of the risky options. Take risk and start early. We are talking about the fact that women say, I don't want to lose my money. Let me just give you an example that came to mind. 2 years ago,
You know, there was a particular stock that was, you know, I work in an investment group, and then we have a stockbroking firm too. So the MD of the stockbroking firm is a guy. Reached out to me. I said, Udiri, this particular stock is going to do very well. I want you to, you know, let's take position. They've taken position, and they've taken position well. When they brought it to me, I said, I looked at it. I put a toe in it, a very small amount of money. In less than 2 months, the stock had doubled. I said, by the time I saw what these guys made, no, I went in full throttle. You know, I poured myself into it. By the time they left, I said, Odiri, you are still there? I said, yes. You know, I must recover from, you know, what I did not do before. So when I look back, you know, I held back, not because I didn't know the prospect of the investment instrument, not that, because that's my industry. But something, you know, some of us as women, I don't want to lose my money. You know, I'd rather keep the money there, you know. And then these guys, and so one of the reasons, when she talked about income, one of the reasons why, you know, and what I've seen over the years is that our career success as women does not translate to financial success. And it's simply because of this. You know, when you earn so much and you don't invest and let that money work for you and even increase significantly, there is that gap. You know, so what are the investment options that we can do? Start early and start playing actively in the equities market. You don't have to put significant amount of money. There are mutual funds that are equity mutual funds, so they invest in the equities market. So you have a professional managing it for you. You know, you see, you have your statement, you see how your money is growing, you know. But it is important for us to learn early how to take risk. The truth is, if you are in your 20s or early 30s and you start taking opportunities in the equities market or other risky options, if you lose that money, will you die? No. So you don't want to wait till when you are 60. You know, you now put your money in the equities market and then, you know, anything, heart attack. So that's why we always encourage women to start early and you start small and be consistent. Because by the time you do that, you learn along the way. You know, when people say we don't want to take risks, I say we take risk with everything. You take risk with your body. Yes, you take risk with, you know, having a child, with your family, with everything. Why is it that when it comes to the issue of money, we don't want to take risk? You know, so it is not that we don't want to take risk. It's just that we've not been taught how to take risk, you know, and what the concept of risk is. So start early, and I will encourage, start looking at the equities market. Start looking at things beyond leaving my money in bank account or buying treasury bills. Treasury bills is good, but it is the lowest risk option you ever get. You know, I have doubled and tripled money staying in the equities market, and again, have a long-term perspective. You know, don't go and put school fees money in the equities market. Don't go and put money that you need in the next 1 month in the equities market. The equities market is structured to be a long-term game, not for gambling, not for speculating. But by the time you do that, you realize that you are gaining more than you are losing. Thank you.
Please, have you lost money in the equity market?
Very well.
How did you
Okay. No. I bought a stock. I was expecting it to get to a certain level. It got to that level. I said, no, it will get higher. It will get higher. Instead of me to have gone out. Months after it went down, I said, okay, now it's time to cut my loss. So I cut my loss and I put it somewhere else. So you are creating a portfolio. So it's a portfolio, not a one this thing. So in a portfolio, I can lose money in one, but the overall portfolio is profitable.
Please let me add one thing to that as well. I think it's important because she emphasized the fact that you should start early. Start taking risk early. The same way she talked about confidence is a muscle. Your ability to take risk is also a muscle. When you don't take risk, you don't grow that muscle. Do you see? I started investing in the equities market in 2005. And I was one of those people that lost significantly in the 2008 financial crisis. I started when I was in school. And I remember a particular stock I bought. It was AP. I remember buying that stock at 98 naira per share. And that stock had risen to about maybe 130. And I kept saying, it will still grow, it will still grow, it will still grow. Only for the thing to drop as low as 30-something naira. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then the moment the thing rose slightly to 48, I said, I beg, let me just cut my losses. At all. Even though it did not reach how much I bought it. Do you know that 2 or 3 weeks after I sold that stock, it went up again? And it went past how much I bought it. Now, that experience taught me something. Do you see? It taught me to learn when to take profit. It also taught me to learn when to buy at a discount. That's when the market is dipping and everybody is running away. Do you understand? Now, I learned that how many years ago? Today, if I'm in the stock market and the thing is doing gigolo, I understand because I know that the market is in circles. And I understand how to now pick my stocks because at that time it was just a gambling type, whatever. They said this one is okay, I buy it, okay. But now you pick stocks with fundamentals, and that is why having an advisor to show you specifics and give you advice also helps. It helps you to reduce the risk as much as possible, but start early. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I hate to pop in here, forgive me. But if we have questions, please I would ask our audience to please, all our participants, to just write your questions down. I've got a ton of questions. So for those who have questions, please write your questions down because right after this panel session will be Q&A. Go ahead, I'm not cutting you. No, just go ahead.
Thank you so much for those really important points. I think certainly that point about diversifying your risk is really, really key. And just as you were talking about, women shying away from risk, I think more than their male counterparts would. Another area I thought about was also taking on debt, right? The women tend to be more cautious about taking on debt, even though sometimes for your business, it's important to build up some sort of credit profile. And if you don't take out any debt at all, then that can also affect your opportunities, in terms of borrowing further down the line. So those are definitely some really interesting points. So as we round up the financial planning segment, one of the things that I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into, because of your work, Ms. Adediran, with family wealth management and specifically, is to talk a bit about how women can think about inheriting wealth and then passing wealth down, to future generations. If there are women right now, even with perhaps wealthy parents or something like that, how can they think about getting involved in some of these conversations, positioning themselves so that, their voices are also heard?
Fantastic. Interestingly, this is like my everyday conversation, right? And I sit with founders who are definitely thinking about exit. Either exit from their family-owned business that they've run for a long time, or just maybe in terms of managing the family wealth portfolio. And oftentimes, because we are also Africans and the way we're wired, the cultural dynamics, we tend to look up to the son, to the male child, right, to take charge, to take responsibility. Interestingly, I have found in some cases that it is even the female child that is available and ready or interested, to step into maybe running the family business or maybe show some interest in getting involved in managing the family affairs, right? What I would say to you as a woman here is don't take yourself out of the equation. When they're having those money conversations, please be there. Show interest. First of all, school yourself. Go for financial education. The reason a lot of women don't invest or are not able to take risk is not because they can't take risk. It's because they lack confidence. Confidence in their ability to take the right risk and not lose their money. And I believe that information is really what helps you to deal with that. If you know better, you will do better. So specifically, you're talking about inheritance. In fact, I did a LinkedIn post on this thing. Those of you that can follow me on whatever, LinkedIn, go and read it. It's about women and wealth, the issue around inheritance in Africa, where the conversation is largely around the male. In fact, there are some cultures where they believe that no matter what is happening, wealth must pass through the male child. So women don't inherit. And this even happens in my own culture. So it's not something that I'm alien to. It's something that I know. I mean, we're 4 siblings. I have only one brother. And my dad already began to socialize my brother when we were even teenagers, that he is the father of everybody. And I used to be very angry because I'm the first, but this boy is the third. And then he's beginning to laud himself like, yeah, I'm the man of the home. And he has assets in his name that we, the girls, don't have, you know, and is privy to things about Popsy's assets that we don't. So it's a thing. So they don't even think that it's something that is far away. It's a thing, right? And so what I'm going to say to you, first of all, is that be knowledgeable. If you bring knowledge to the table and you demonstrate capability to do these things, I'm sure that our parents will begin to think differently. And interestingly, money does not know gender. Absolutely, it doesn't. So if you're knowledgeable about how to manage, and we have a natural instinct to manage things well, let's channel it. Let's have these money conversations. Let's channel our natural skills of nurturing to really be able to build and manage wealth. If we begin to show interest and have these conversations, you will see that the tides will begin to shift in our direction.
Thank you for this. The next and final area is really practical steps to turn inspiration into action. And I wanted to first focus on networking, you know, the importance of networking opportunities. So turning to Dr. Edozian, please, can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of networking, how we can get into the right spaces, perhaps if we're not necessarily as qualified as some of the other people we would love to, you know, be able to network with. Maybe also even how our personal brand can help facilitate, you know, good networking opportunities. Thank you so much.
That's a masterclass question. It's a masterclass question. But before I answer that question, can we just give a round of applause to our awesome moderator? She's absolutely excellent. Absolutely excellent. Thank you for making this conversation. Sometimes you're on a panel and you're just like, oh, when is it going to end? But I'm literally enjoying it. And you managed to, you know, just dimension the questions in an interesting way. So thank you so much. Okay, so networking is really exposure. I think when you don't have a network, you are literally covering yourself with a black bed sheet. Literally, because your network, first of all, if you have the right network, they will speak for you in rooms that you don't have access to, rooms that you don't even know exist, first. Secondly, when you have the right network, it inspires you. Imagine having these ladies in your network. You'll be rich now, right? Because you know what is going on. So I always say to people, who is your equivalent, whatever role you have now, who is your equivalent in Ghana? Who is your equivalent in Canada? What are they doing? What issues are they tackling? When you start to build a global network, your perspective and even the way you approach issues change. So that's why networking is important, because many times as women, we are so focused on doing the work, we don't focus on the strategy that gets the work done in a hyper-fast way. And networking is key to that. So how do you build a network? The first thing is, I remember one time, I got this opportunity, a sponsorship opportunity to go to South Africa for this conference. And I got there, and you know, when you go, for some reason, when you go abroad for conferences, you can be there with the CEO of a company. He's just in jeans and slacks and a t-shirt and all of that. And, but he's carrying his name badge and maybe the name of the company underneath. And I was just seeing all these people, and I felt tiny. I felt so small. So I just went to the corner of the room. And this is me, it's ridiculous, but it's very true. I went to the corner of the room, and I was just there sipping a drink, because I felt like I didn't deserve to be in the room. And many times that's what happens to us as women. You either start to feel like an imposter, you think, oh, this person is not going to talk to me. Another time I went for a conference, I do this thing when I go for events. I say I don't like to sit with friends, because I already know you. We will gist later. I'm here to meet new people. So even if I sit with a friend, I always try and give myself a target to speak to like 3 people. And I remember I was having lunch, and I said, okay, I'm not going to sit with people I know, I'm going to sit on a new table. And I started talking to these ladies. And they were just, I was like, oh, hello, are you enjoying the conference? Yeah. I now asked the one beside her, are you enjoying the conference? And like, and they were talking to each other. And at that point, it's very easy to say, I said it. All these women conferences, don't go. It's a waste of time. They don't care, but because maybe I'm not carrying the right bag, all of that. You know, all these things that we say to ourselves. But what did I do? I just turned. Like it was wind that passed me. And I continued talking to the people beside. And those ones were eager to speak to me. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean those 2 ladies are, what did you call yourself? They say a witch or whatever. No. It doesn't mean that. Anything could have happened. One of them, their husband could have been quarreling with her. The other person, her boss, may have sent her a message that, what are you doing at this conference? My friend, will you get back to the office? And she's angry. It has nothing to do with you. So many times you take all these mental garbage with you into these rooms, and it prevents you from connecting. So the first thing is, understand that you're a person of worth when you enter. The fact that you're a human being, you woke up this morning, you walk close, you are not mad, you are not walking on the road, you walk close, you are a person, you are a human being, and you are deserving of speaking to somebody. But then how do you do that? So like I said, when you enter a room, decide before you go for a networking conference, what are my goals? Who do I want to meet with? So me, before I go for a networking event, I Google the speakers. I send them messages on LinkedIn. Hello, I'm going to be attending so-and-so event. I'd really love to hear you speak. After the event, if I can't speak to them, I send them another message. It was really lovely hearing you speak. I loved when you said XYZ about risk. And obviously, sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't respond. But guess what? When I have a favor to ask of them, it's so easy for me. Because by the time I go to the LinkedIn thread, they see, this girl has been messaging me. Let me tell you, there's this person, well, let me not call his name, but he got this huge appointment recently. And I met him at a conference. And every year on LinkedIn will send you a message when it's somebody's birthday. And so for 6 years, all I sent to him was, happy birthday, sir. Because LinkedIn used to remind me. And then one day, I wanted a high ticket speaker for an event. And I sent him a message. And he was like, I'm so sorry I haven't responded to any of your happy birthday messages. Here's my personal email. Send me the invite via email. Because this is somebody that, I mean, in the realm of things, we're not easy, HNI, whatever, we're not in the same level. But at the end of the day, I said to I'm a person, I'm a human being. I find his work interesting, and so I'm going to make a connection. So how do you start to build your network? First of all, who are the people that inspire you? Ask yourself these 4 questions. Who inspires me? Who needs to know about me and the work I do? Who I want to achieve in the future? When you ask yourself those 3 questions, now think of those names. And you don't have, even if it is, 6 degrees of separation. I taught them like this, but there's no even 3 steps to find them. You know that your network is lacking, because the network you have cannot take you to where you want to go. So you need to start building it. Start saying to yourself, okay, who needs to know about me? Who has achieved what I want to achieve? And then use a platform like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is such an amazing platform, because it can help you connect with so many people. The people I've connected with on LinkedIn. I mean, next week, Monday, I'm going to be doing a webinar for women in Lesotho. How? Through LinkedIn. I've done webinars across the world, global awards and all of that. Why? Because of LinkedIn. So connect with those people. And then LinkedIn sends you LinkedIn does not pay me all this work I do for them. But LinkedIn sends you 3 messages about your contacts. So the first is their birthday, when they will have a work anniversary, or if they've been mentioned in the news, right? Anytime you get any of those information, reach out. Oh, happy birthday. Oh, I see you've changed your job. Congratulations. Those things, they cost you nothing, but they keep you top of mind. I'll stop there.
Thank you. You've all been so generous with your time. I just have 2 more questions, and then a final question for the whole panel. So it will be first to Ms. Shotunde, and then to Ms. Aka, and then I'll give a final question for the whole panel. So Ms. Shotunde, in terms of events, because we're looking at practical steps, right, for women in business and women seeking to grow their businesses, can you speak to us a bit about how events can be used, can be leveraged to get your business brand out there, to engage better with your customers, that sort of thing, please? Thank you.
Okay, so I'll take it from if you're an event person and you want to get your business out there. So like just now I see them giving out packs of things and all that. This is an opportunity to either sponsor. So if you're a food vendor, if you're a gift person, you can use events as this to get your business out there. And then, of course, in exchange, you say, okay, this was supported by this. They do a tag, a mention. You can also boost the post of the pictures of the event. Now, this is for business owners who want to get their businesses out there. Now, in the event industry in general, we also have conferences. I liked she talked about networking and all of that. When you go for events, in the event space, try as much as possible to connect with colleagues. And I would use myself as a practical example. How I grew up the ladder in the event industry was I was very intentional, just like what she said, who is doing what I want to do, who is already there, how do I connect with these people. So when I go, I intentionally pay for conferences, go meet these industry leaders, attend, ask questions, and then join relevant association. In my industry, we have associations, we have communities, we have groups. So when you intentionally be a part of these groups, you need to make your voice known. You can volunteer your services, you can volunteer your time, be in the committee. Don't be a monitoring spirit on WhatsApp group. I know a lot of us are in WhatsApp, and in 1 year, even in your secondary school, you won't even say happy birthday to somebody, on the group. So we in events, we intentionally make that effort to connect with people, both our colleagues as well as potential clients. Because again, I think one of the things we've also learned that if you want to go into corporate events, LinkedIn is a good platform, get your business out there, follow those organizations, write to corporate communications or HR and all of that. So it's just about that business owner being intentional about the platforms that he or she wants to be in. What niche of events do you want to be in? Because event is very wide, and in event industry, there's planner, there's decorator, there's caterer. So once you decide, depending on the niche where you are playing in, you just make that intentional effort by connecting, using the right event to promote yourself. One thing that I've also used for myself, aside being a planner, of course, I'm a trainer, I'm a facilitator, and I also host conference. So my event, the Busy Bee Event Business Summit that I've been running for 8 years, I bring together event professionals. We also do awards. We give out awards. And through this, international organizations have recognized my platform. And that's why they are able to even exchange to say, recommend wedding planners to Dubai, recommend wedding planners to Abu Dhabi by virtue of me hosting my own events, bringing the platform, bringing event professionals on it. And I've been able to get international recognitions. Thank you.
Apologies, I'm told we're running short on time, and we want to give an opportunity for the audience to also ask some questions. So I'll just do my final question to the panelists. I'm starting with Ms. Aka, please. And that's just, if there's one like to leave our audience with, please can you share that with us, just for each panelist? Thank you.
All right. And this one I'll say. So for me, I've worked only in one company all my life. So when I tell people I worked in InterSwitch from the first day, they are shocked. But I've had such a rich. So when people see my profile, the only job I've not done in InterSwitch, let me not say before they're going to post me there, is sales. But I've done every other thing. So the first thing I'll say, when you're talking of networking, now there are different kinds of people. I know I'm not an entrepreneur. Me, I know I'm a career person. So when you, depending on, and sometimes I feel jealous when I hear entrepreneurs, I say, hey, I'm not risk-taking. But it's good to know your calling. And in that your calling, it doesn't mean you must be limited. So you may be able to, I'm not saying you must work in only one company like me, no please. But whatever it is, take your career as a craft. For example, when you were talking of taking risk, I remember when I wanted to get a job, and I was feeling bored. And that's another thing. You have to be patient to grow things. Don't be, in this world of branding, some people, and I learned that by the way, Dr. Glory was my LinkedIn consultant, and I learned so much. And I'm still using what I learned from you. Thank you, Dr. Glory. So one of the things I learned was, it's so easy to post something, especially now with ChatGPT. But are you an empty vessel? So someone said, don't just package air. I learned that. Don't package oxygen. When they touch it, nothing. Package value. Wow. So, and that I would say, and so I would say that in your career, and I'm talking career because I'm not going to talk, I'm talking career. In your career, build value. So these days, a lot of people move. And it's okay, before you know it, I'm no more working here, I'm working there, I'm no more working here. And it's fine. But first of all, if you move too much, I don't think you could go very in depth. And over the years, people will see you as, can she be CEO? She will just move in 3 months. She will just move. So be careful. I'm just saying. Now I know that, and because sometimes more money may not always mean the best thing to do. So I remember, for example, when I got bored with my job, I thank God for my husband. It's good to have a partner that supports your career. So he said, instead of resigning, because I was like, I want to resign, he said, why not take a pause and maybe go for a master's? So I was looking for university. He said, he just one day came, what schools are you applying to? He said, if it's not the top 3 in UK, I didn't want to go to America. My first son was 3, my second son was 1. He said, if it's not the top 3, forget it. So I checked top 3, Oxford, Cambridge. I said, who will take me? So I just said, they say submit to her husband, let me apply. I got into Oxford. Wow. I got into Cambridge. Even me, I was shocked. So that's another thing we're saying. Sometimes we look down on us. My interview in Cambridge was so intense. He was asking me, I started talking of my job. It got emotional. He said, tell me about your job. I told him why InterSwitch exists, why Africa must, why we cannot sit down and we will not just be importing foreign solutions, why Africa should build her own, why Africa, this is the time. The guy, when I was done, the guy said, I got a scholarship into Cambridge. So what I'm saying is, what I was going to apply to University of Tomato, University of Backyard, University of, if not, because I felt they won't even look at me. So I'm saying that also, that imposter syndrome was going to hold me down. Thank God I applied. Thank God. And then leverage, because when I was coming back, I knew I can't do business. This career is all I got. So the Bible, use what you are, what God has given, hold it to 2 hands. So when I was coming back, I had other opportunities, but I looked at long term. And when I came back, became country manager for Verve, I said, man, this country manager, let me do it well. What is it? So the summary is, my advice here is, leverage what you have very well. Build your career like a real brand. You are doing a job in your career. Like she was saying, I got a call this week. Orime, there's a CX conference in Rwanda. We want you to give a master class. There's a fintech conference in Canada. Can you come and speak? You know, there's some, I've not responded to the Canada one because I'm looking at some date, but Rwanda, before I said 1, 2, I said, I'm there. Bah, let us discuss. What are you talking about? You know, who is negotiating what? You know, so I'm just saying that build it as a career. Build your career, with intentionality. Let there be value in there. Don't just think of, are you paying me? What are they paying me? What are they paying me? That's important, you know. But also think of the value you are creating that you can leverage on for tomorrow. Wealth is not only in cash. Wealth is in opportunities that you have used. Wealth is in reputation. What will people say about that if you work, you know? So that's it. Thank you.
So you didn't finish that story. So you also then you also then started sitting on the advisory board for the Cambridge alumni. So yeah. So for me, I think the biggest favor you can do today is to see yourself. I think many times the reason why we don't go for these opportunities, or we go for opportunities that we should be going for higher ones, is because we haven't seen what we carry. So my advice to everyone today is to really get introspective and understand the value you carry. And if you're still questioning your value, ask yourself, what am I questioning my value, right? What is it that is blocking me from seeing? There's something I do with all my clients. When you come, if you're taking my major program, I take you through a clarity process where you dump on it's one of the hardest things that people do. You dump on everything that you have done, your accomplishments and all of that. Some people, just that particular part of the course, they don't want to come back because it's really tough. But it really is what shifts the mindset. When you are clear on the fact that inside me, they are the treasures of the world. You know, when you are coming here, God deposited, or whoever you believe in, deposited something in you. And you have to say, deposited something in you, and you carry something. But it's your job to mind that thing, to make it something that is precious to others. You know, I always say to people, think of yourself like MTN. Sorry, for mentioning another company when InterSwitch is sponsoring, you know? So why did I say MTN? Because their brand is everywhere you go. How many times has MTN network failed you in any way? There are some places I've gone to, they're not really there. But they say it with their full chest. MTN everywhere you go. Imagine it. But sometimes you're somewhere and you're like, this MTN network is not cooperating. So I'm not saying you should lie, but what I'm saying is do the work to become the person you see yourself becoming. Do that work. But fundamentally, it starts by owning who you are. You can't, every other thing will come. The minute visibility, the first part of visibility is not for others to see you, it's for you to see yourself.
Oh, amazing. I think one thing I will leave with you is, I would say catch a vision that is bigger than you. The reason a lot of women don't do big stuff, the reason we don't take risk, is because we think about ourselves alone. Me, myself, and I. And when you think like that, there's only so much you need in this life. Seriously. But if you catch a vision that is bigger than you, a vision that serves the world. I mean, we've talked about innovation today. We've talked about all the different opportunities and platforms that you can leverage. You will not take or move an inch if you think about yourself and yourself alone, because there's no need for it. But when you catch a vision that is bigger than you, then the conversation around building wealth begins to make sense. Because you know that your children are going to be many. When I say children, in terms of projects you want to do, your reach in the world, problems you want to solve, you will not see your children as only your own biological children. You will see the children on the street. If you have a burden for children on the street going to school, you will see them as your kids as well. And the way you will wish for your kids to go to good schools is the way you will also have that burden and the pain when you see that those kids are not going to school. So the conversation around building wealth then begins to make sense to you, that these kind of things cost money, right? So your vision needs to be bigger than you. When she came in here today, she was like, that she's looking at her goals and they're scaring her. I said, that's how it's meant to be. If you've set goals this year and you are comfortable, like nothing is making you, jump up every time, it's because that thing is not big enough. Every moment it should get you, every waking moment it should get you thinking about it. Who do I need to connect with? Who knows what I need to know? What opportunities should I be chasing? How do I get better with myself? What information do I need to connect with? The only reason you would think like that is because you are chasing a vision, or a vision that is chasing you is bigger than you. And so that is one thing I'm going to leave us with today. If you're going to use anything that we've said here today, it is because you're not just looking at yourself alone, but how you want to add value to the world. Thank you.
Oof. How many of us have been blessed? All right, so what I would say is be resilient. There's a scripture I like in the Bible. It says, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. And for me, this is my guiding principle in life. Because, whether you're working with a young career professional or you're working with an investor, you keep hearing this issue of my mental health. People fail and then they want to take their life. I was telling somebody over the last few days that I wrote CFA 8 times. Because this young guy wrote CFA level 1, failed, and then the next one, he wrote it, he failed, now decided to take rat poison, And I had to sit him down and say, see, level 1, I wrote it 4 times. I passed on the 4th attempt. Level 2, 3 times. Level 3, 3 times. And he looked at me. I said, yes, and I'm the CEO of one of the largest asset management firm. And you only wrote it once and failed, and you want to take your life. So what the Bible says, if you faint in the day of adversity, it means that what? There will be adversity. Yes. And so a lot of us have to learn how to handle failure. Whether it's in your investment portfolio, somebody said a lot of people have taken their lives simply because they lost money in the stock market or in crypto. A lot of people lost money in crypto. And a lot of people have taken their lives because they lost money in crypto. A lot of people have taken their lives because they failed an exam. So for me, be resilient. Let nothing move you. Your mental stamina must be tough. Let no failure move you. It's money now, you lose it, you make it. It's exam now, you failed it, you write it. Today, nobody knew I failed, I wrote CFA 8 times. On
over the weekend, we contested for the leadership of the CFA board in Nigeria, CFA Society in Nigeria, and I went for vice president, and I won. But 4 years ago, I went for the same vice president, and I lost. Wow. Yes, and I lost. So what I would say is be resilient. Thank you.
Everyone here, what else do I have to say? Okay, one thing I would say first of all is as far as your eyes can see. So the question is, what do you see about yourself? What do you see about your brand? I like to use myself as an example because my own story is that person that started from the bottom in the event industry. And right now, I'm one of the top event planners in Nigeria. I do business with international governments, you understand. But the thing is, right from the get-go, when I started my business in 2009, I knew what I wanted for my brand. I told myself, even in my business plan, I wanted to be a global brand. And what exactly did I do? I worked what is called the KLT factor. People need to know you. People need to like you. People need to trust you. And my word for everyone today is, first of all, leverage on social media. In the course of my conversation this evening, I've talked about the sponsored trips that I've gotten. All they needed to do was to Google top Africa planners, top event planners in Africa. And I was among the six planners in Africa that got sponsored because they found me online. So it means that there's something I'm doing, pushing my brand out there. So if you are seated here, you're a business owner, you are not leveraging on Google, you're not leveraging on Instagram, you're not putting the word out there. Say, oh, I'm okay in my small corner. No, please go back to the drawing board. Find ways to let your brand be known in all ways, both paid platforms, free platforms that you can leverage on. Ensure that you put your brand out there. Then spread the news. People need to know about, educate people. You've come here today to come and learn. When you go back, don't hoard it. Leverage on your WhatsApp. These are the things I learned today. Financial planning, business management, visibility. Put it out there. And then when people get to trust you, they're able to do business with you and able to exchange money for you. Thank you.
All right. I'm here. I'm right here. A round of applause, please, for our panelists and our moderator. Please, a round of applause for Adesuwa Bello Osage. She's the co-founder and deputy CEO for 715 Capital Limited. Oremiye Aka, she's the chief customer officer InterSwitch. Dr. Gloria Edozian, founder inspired by Glory Academy. Miss Abiola Adedinron, she's a partner, Genia Family Office Limited. Dr. Odiri Ogini, the CEO, United Capital Asset Management Limited. And Bisi Sotunde, she's the managing director of BCB Events. Ladies, sublime. Be resilient, push forward, have a dream that is greater than you, eye on the price, and even if you change your course, stay on course. The future is greater. Very solid nuggets from all of you. If you have your questions, now is the time to answer. These ladies have been taking notes. I've been watching them over here. Same with her. I've been looking around the hall. I might act like I'm not watching, but I'm watching. Same with her as well. But they've been taking notes. But I want to ask you a question, Miss Bello Osage. Yes, no one's asked you a question, so I'm going to start with you. Oftentimes, real estate, investment in real estate is primarily or dominantly male, not so much women, right? And I wonder if it's because of how expensive it is to get into real estate or own a piece of property, whether it's in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Enugu, even Calabar. Is that it? And then when you see women who own properties, either it is inheritance or on short lease, and they are business owners, right? And so what would you advise for women who want to maybe own property? And when I talk to all of my girlfriends, property is never something that we talk about, you know? It's not something that's really had on your vision board or something, being a landowner. Yeah, we want to fly cars, private jet, but we never really talk about homes, you know? And so talk about, you know, the prospects of going in there, you know, the challenges and how best to invest or get in entry level. That's your question, all right? So stick with me, okay? I got questions, all right? And then I'm coming to our finance gurus. And I mean, congratulations, first of all, ma'am, for winning vice president for the committee for CFA. That is a huge one. But I want the both of you to talk, and also Dr. Ogini, I'd like for you to talk about this. Do you think that the reason why, because one of you made a comment about that women don't go into, the exchange or the money market fund, and it's mostly predominantly men, and that women don't actually think about investing because it's mostly, what's the word, masculine? I think that's the word you use. And so I want to ask, is it that, or the versions of wealthy women that we know growing up are business owners and entrepreneurs? Growing up, I saw women, and the women that I sort of aspired to as a younger child or a younger woman were women who owned business. And the perception and the advice that we get in media is to have a side hustle. Is often get a side hustle. Get a side hustle. And if you have a 9 to 5, you must be hustling, doing something else on the side. And so is it that we think that it's a masculine thing, or it's just we're only thought differently and we're seeing examples of women who've made it because they were entrepreneurs and they own their own business? That's just that's my brain, sorry. And then let me come to you, Dr. Edozian, and ask you, you've talked about LinkedIn and persistency and just, putting your craft out there and just being a champion for your brand. I work in media. I'm on the news. I'm working as I go. I'm scrolling and I'm reading, taking out as much information as I possibly can. Same time, I have to be on the beat and watch as well what's going on. I am on the clock 24/7, and that can take a toll. So for a young woman like myself, or a woman who's watching, who also have, maybe not in my field, but has so much on their plate, how can they brand themselves? How can they put their jobs out there? And sometimes I am executive fatigue. As soon as I go home, I don't want to look at my phone. Don't call me. Don't ask me anything. I just want to be I can be inside my house, curtains down, vampire mode, until I leave the house again, because I know I'm in the newsroom. Everything is going speed of lightning. And so how then can we be able to still do that and find the balance? I guess that's what I'm trying to say, to find the balance to do it all. And that's that. And then for you, Miss Aka, you've stuck with InterSwitch and watched it grow so much so, right? And for those who are in a startup, it is tasking and it takes a toll. And you have to, and you're talking in the beginning how you were explaining to those your friends in NYC camp, and they were asking you, what's that? And you had to, say, oh, it's a cyber cafe. And you go, yes, it is. And so for those who are in a startup and they believe in that dream, but, the money is, the path of InterSwitch, you saw it go, it blew up. But for those who have to toil at it and stay there, what word of advice you would give to young women who are working at a startup and have a dream, but their friends and their loved ones and their family do not buy into them? And finally, to Miss Busy Bee, Ms. Chotunde, you are Busy Bees by far the biggest, one of the biggest, event planners and, out there. But also to start out, there's a lot of finance that goes into it, right? And there's a lot of wealth, not even just wealth, but there's a lot of your money that has to go into it and patching out card, because now event management seems to be oversaturated. What advice would you give women here who want to maybe go into that field, but also want to go into fields that is not only money intensive in terms of capital, but also is oversaturated? Thank you. All right, so whilst you're going at it, for those who want to ask questions, please just put your hands up for questions. And yes, please go ahead. Yes, after you, please go ahead. Who wants to go first on my question? Yeah.
So I think the question you'd asked me was about seeing less, fewer women purchase properties, real estate assets compared to men. And I think that really the gap there it's based on similar reasons that we heard from the panelists when it comes to other areas, like investment and wealth management, involvement in those sorts of things. I think culturally and traditionally, even when one thinks about after something like marriage, you think of, all right, you get married and you go to your husband's home, right? It's built in, even in that sense. I think there's that sort of sentiment that, the men are the ones who provide the homes in which, the women and the children reside. I would really hope that as more and more women become more and more financially literate and, excited about being independent, they'll see real estate not just as, it's a property to live in, but, a real asset that can generate value or at least retain value, a way to store value perhaps over time. And I think that if you do your due diligence, you look for good quality, pockets of, exciting opportunities and value. You think about identifying legitimate developers, because I know that there are obviously a lot of illegitimate ones out there, and so a lot of pitfalls, and that can be something that's scary, for many women if they're thinking about this area. Think about companies like ours, 715. But if you do pinpoint those companies and opportunities, then I think real estate is a fantastic thing to think about investing in, and can help you in terms of your wealth creation. Just as our other panelists have said, it's not just about your income, right? Asset generation is also important, and real estate can be a key part of your overall asset portfolio. Right. So hopefully that answers your question.
Also, you can also start selling cement as well, and if you don't build, at least you can provide us the tools. Thank you so much. Miss Shetunde, you're next.
Okay, so the event industry is very wide, so I'll take it in two parts. If you want to go into event planning, which is you are the organizer, putting everyone together, you do not need a large capital. What you basically need, of course, a good mobile phone, your device, your laptop, and the knowledge, the skill. And that's why we encourage people to go for trainings. Okay, go learn the skill. And the way the event is growing right now, you need to be very hands-on and competent in that space. But if you want to do the other aspect of event, like the catering, the decorations, you have to start small. So what we would encourage is you start saving, and then little by little, you can begin to buy things in little. However, if you want to do a job, of course, you send in your quotation to a client, they give you a deposit. So you can then arrange with a rental person. So if it's for food, definitely you go to the market, buy the things, but things like table setting, chargers, napkins, and cutlery, you need to rent that. So for events, I would not advise to say immediately throw in money, understand the market. For those in rentals, chairs and all of that, every minute things are changing. Today we're doing VIP chairs, tomorrow we're doing O-back, we're doing chameleon. So you need to be very mindful when you are putting in your money. Get mentors like us, who would say, no, this is what you should do, this is how you should go about it. Collaborate with people. So those are part of the things we're also preaching, to say you don't need to have the chunk. So if you get a contract, you can collaborate with this person. This person can even come under your company, and then you go bid for the job, get the job, and execute it. Nice. Thank you. Nice.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So I'll speak from two perspectives. The first is the investment industry is actually dominated by men, and it has always been so. And again, if you sit down before, and if your investment advisor is a man, he definitely doesn't understand the challenges that we as women go through. So beyond the fact that it is dominated by men, the advisors are men. So what we see is that as the world moves to where we are getting more women to become financial advisors, we definitely begin to see more women begin to participate in investment. That's number one. Number two, I did a research, and I realized that the women who own businesses, a lot of them, when it comes to investment, they shy away from it. They don't want to take their risks. But these are people who take risk in their business. But when it comes to investment risk, they don't want to go into that. But risk in their business, yes. And the third thing I would say is, if you look at women over the years, what kind of business are they setting up? They're setting up businesses that are born out of their passion and their hobby. So they are willing to take risk. Do you understand? But when you send them into a territory that they're not used to, you will definitely find them shying away from it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ogini, you have the floor. Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to layer on what she has said. I think for the longest time, we women have been socialized a certain way. And that is why money conversations are never conversations we're very comfortable with, right? And we're happy to just delegate it, and we just want to do the things that we're comfortable with. I see that is changing, but it's still going to take a lot of time, right? Again, it's not only by building a business or having a business that you can build wealth. even for those that have decided to pursue the career path, what I tell people is that even in your career path, still back to one of the principles that I shared, don't focus on income. Build and own assets. That's how you build wealth. It doesn't matter, even if you're a business owner, if you're not owning assets, if you're not actively building an investment portfolio, you still will not be wealthy. We've seen people who all they have is their business. And then when all the chips are down, they are back to zero. So the fact that you own a business is not automatically that you're going to be wealthy. Do you see? You can choose your path and what works for you. I think what is important at the end of the day is get knowledge. The reason a lot of us are not taking risks is because we're just not comfortable. And why are you not comfortable? Because you're not knowledgeable about it. Right. So you tend to shy away from something that you don't know much about and stay in your comfort zone, right? So the conversation about money has been male-dominated. Like she said as well, the finance industry also has a lot of males. I mean, now we're seeing a lot of women rise up to the challenge, but we're also still in the minority in the grand scheme of things, right? But what I would say to an average person out there, what we can take away is the fact that you need to learn. You need to educate yourself. If you know better, you will do better.
Right. If you know better, you will do better. Dr. Dosian.
So I hear this a lot. We are very busy. How do you brand yourself? All of that. And so the first question I ask is, sometimes it's because you haven't seen how branding yourself will elevate your career. You are seeing it as another one of those activities. If you understand that by posting once a week on LinkedIn, so one of my clients, for example, she posts on LinkedIn, and she got this opportunity to go and do some training abroad. And she walks into the room as the trainer, and she sees her former boss sitting there. And she was paid in foreign currency for that training. Now, if you understand if you don't understand the use of a thing, abuse is inevitable. And that's when you say, oh, I'm tired, I'm this and everything. But if you're able to say to yourself, what is the next level growth in my career? And how can building a brand help me achieve that? I haven't posted on LinkedIn today, and my body is itching me. Not because I have financial goals that I need to reach, and posting on LinkedIn is part of my strategy, right? So that's the first part. The second part is then making it simple. Because sometimes we over-exaggerate these things. We have seen how people did one video, they turned like this. So you want to be able to turn like that.
Yo, listen.
You want to give them.
Listen.
So
where's Elizabeth? So Elizabeth is one of the team here, right? And I came in and I was like, I don't know how to do social media thing. Can you do the behind the scenes? She said, oh, go down the stairs and come back up. I said, okay, I'm not doing it again. So, look for somebody, just try to interact and act like, you're talking. I'm like, why? I have to do all that. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, please, I'm tired. I just want to work and go home.
Exactly. So for somebody like yourself, first of all, keep it simple. What is the easiest thing you can do? So if you say to yourself, I'm going to post twice a week or whatever the case is, and what is the simplest, most basic thing I'm going to do? Every day when I'm in the new studio, I'm going to take a picture and talk about what I'm doing today. I'm going to just do 3 lines. We're keeping it simple. So keep it simple. And understand what consistency looks like for you. So consistency for you might not be every day. It might be once a week, and then build from there. Start with what is comfortable and then stretch yourself. And then the final thing, if all doors close, get somebody to help you. Get an intern. And I know that is an aspect, a cost aspect that many people don't want to consider. But then again, it goes back to point 1. If you know that if I get a social media manager, in 6 months to a year, I can be getting international opportunities that will pay for a whole social strategy team. Then you are more comfortable to take the risk. So that's what I would say.
A round of applause, please.
Thank you. So the question you sent my way was around, advice to someone in a startup, and there are a lot of startups, especially in fintech. Yes. When we started into Switch, we didn't know there was nothing like fintech. So now we just see a startup, black t-shirts, they've raised money, So now they will now pose, they will now bone. We now say, oh, we didn't do that. Gosh, we missed the black. We missed the black t-shirt, The first thing I'll say is, why are you there? That matters so much. I remember when I got When Google was coming to Nigeria, they reached out to me, want to work with you. What's your price? How much do you earn InterSwitch? Times 3. All those kind of scary things. Etisalat. I did interview in, they came, the chairman then came to Cambridge because he's an alumni. He said, I like you. Next thing, his HR called me. They said, you have a job. How much do you want? I was uncomfortable. I said, I didn't even do interview. No, don't worry. They said it's sorted. Just tell us how much you want, when you can resume, and all that. But the question is, why are you in that startup? That question is very important. Why did I stay here? As I said, I like to make impact. And everybody is different. I don't like to, it's important to be honest with you. And when I started, I saw that the work I was doing, I was seeing progress. I remember, as I said, the very first ATM, it worked. And people were saying, ATM now, you can go to bank, get card. Then the only place you could do your card production, which is where you generate PIN, it's not now that we have automated everything you get in your bank. It was my desk. I remember my sister in Port Harcourt called me. My friend doesn't have PIN. I'll say, wait. I will enter the system. What's your friend's name? Papa, I have PIN is 2299. Please, let's risk knock out. But then, then the system was so basic. It wasn't all this funky complexity. That was my job. I felt very important. I'm giving the pin to the whole Nigeria. I'm just trying to say what resonates with you. And that is very important. Because if you're in that startup for get rich quick, whatever, you see what happens to some of them. It's not a good story because you get in and then it destroys your reputation, right? So you want to avoid that. So that means also, because you know why you are there, you have to settle your mind that there is a period of working. Like a farmer, you plant corn in the ground, there's a season where it may not be so rosy tomorrow. And I'm saying that because that's important, that period of persevering. Like the doctor said, be resilient. Don't just pack up and walk away and say, it's not working. Anything working is because somebody walked it, right? So be ready to walk it. And then the final thing I'll say is, it's important also to look at who is in it with you. So what made me stay? Again, I met Mitchell. Someone said, I met him during my internship when I was an undergraduate, briefly. But when they shared the vision, as a copper, they shared the vision, and I could see, they said, we're going to do this. They were all working. We did it. There was trust. We did it. I remember the first time I got my letter as conversion from copper to full staff. They gave me engineer 1, basic. I remember by the time I pressed computer, my salary was shameful. Yeah, it was quite an embarrassment. I was broke. I remember I went to an ATM. I withdrew my salary, and what I had left was 7,000 naira. So my salary was 27K. I cried. I said, this is what I've been working for. I'm broke. I was like, God bless her. I said, please, I was for half. I was always broke. But I'll come to work. I remember the night when my bank was down. The guy said, Oreme, come and help us. And I went. And took a while, but they came up. I said, I felt so fulfilled. I remember I entered the bus to Obalende that day. From the bus to Maryland in Obalende. Then the bus now broke down at 3rd Mainland Bridge. Before I got home, I was like 1 a.m. I said, where are you coming from? I said, I went to Wema. She was just looking at me. Like, this girl. But I was fulfilled. Now, I'm not saying that you must be crazy. Please. I'm just saying that the work needs to really matter to you, because there will be those seasons when something will not matter. But I can tell you that over the years, again, and I mentioned that trust issue, because some people do start up with people that stab them. They do start up with people that don't, they're not genuine. But I could see, and I think if you work with God, He will help you. He will tell you when someone is not genuine. So the summary is, as the company grew, I saw the opportunities growing for me. It made sense. The work is making sense. Even now I'm here. Someone may say, oh, you've landed. Amen. But the work doesn't stop. And that's another thing. You must know that you must be ready. Even now, nobody will call InterSwitch a startup. But the truth is, there are a lot of things we are dealing with. In my team now, there are some fundamental challenges. And I say, if we don't fix it, who will fix it? So you must always have that mindset. Be ready to work. Work pays. Of course, there have been times of jollof. There have been times when we say, wow, it was worth it. And there are still those times. But at the end of the day, you appreciate those times of when the harvest comes through, but you cannot let it stop you from still putting in what you're putting in. So I'm saying to the person there now, if you're in a startup and it's looking somehow, ask those questions. Why am I doing it? Who am I doing it with? Can I trust them? And am I ready to be patient for this thing to grow? Is it worth it? I think those questions were helping.
So foresight, clairvoyance, eye on the price, and with everything in life, there's season, planting, sowing, and harvest. A round of applause, please, for all of our panelists and our moderator. I'm going to start with you. You had a question? Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this event, and I'm very grateful that I'm here. Okay, so my question goes to us. We've been talking about finances, work here and there, okay. But then I'm in the creative industry. I'm a photographer. I'm still a student though. How do I thrive in a male-dominated industry? So I walked in here today. I left my house hoping that, okay, I would be able to do one or two things voluntarily here. But eventually, okay, so yeah, that question, why I thrive in the male dominated. I would like to put this out there because in celebration of the Women's Month, I'm also hosting a particular event. I school in Ife, OAU, and I'm hosting an event there. We have something like a women's hangout, but the main thing there is that for every woman that is going to be in attendance, they're going to be getting a free professional headshot to elevate their online presence, because we know some people do really great things behind the scene, but they don't have this online presence that really speaks as much as what they do. So it has, like, planning or putting the event together has been a lot, because I don't know. Thank you.
So the question is, how does she thrive in a male-dominated field? I think I have one answer for you. For the fact that you got no yeah doesn't mean that you won't get yes along the way. I think that's the first answer. Who wants to give a go at
Let me just share something. So I don't know if you have researched on female photographers presently. We have Posh Click, we have Gazmado, we have M12, we have 420. So these women have actually carved a niche for themselves. So what I would say is, which of the niches do you want to go in? You want to go in baby photography, wedding photography? Do you want to do corporate portrait, corporate headshot? Start from there, then leverage on your social media. That you were not able to take a picture here today, you can still go outside, stand, take a picture of yourself outside, put learning points of what you have learned, from even this event today, and then boost your platform. So every little opportunity you have in terms of your platform, your WhatsApp, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, if you have one, try to put out the message. Then
you're still in uni and you're throwing an event and everything. Honestly, don't discount the days of little beginnings. Don't let the fact that you're doing all of this and you're not seeing the reward, you're not seeing the impact yet, it builds up. So what Odiri said earlier about resilience, just stay focused and you will get the results you want. It might not be in 2 days, it might not be in 3 months, but you will get there.
There we go. We know that the time has come to an end. We're just going to take one question here. The rest of the questions you can now, because this is a networking event. I know you're very pretty. I want to see your face. Forgive me. But what's going to happen is, towards the end, as we're about to mingle with our food and drinks, you can go and meet the speakers directly and then talk to them. So, because I understand, giving a mic in front of you and talking in front of everyone can be nerve-wracking. So, panelists, is that okay by you guys? There we go. So, final question, please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Darlene Clark-Oka. I think my question is to every beautiful woman out there. I run a social enterprise. It's called Femme Avenue. It's a menstrual health social enterprise. So what we do mainly is we try to incorporate menstrual health into companies' policies. It could come in as different ways. It could either be menstrual leaves and stuff like that. And we're currently building a menstrual health educational app. And I have had the most pushbacks I've had. I don't like to believe that women don't like each other, but the most pushbacks I've had, I've been doing this for 3 years, and they've all come from women. And I'm like, in my head, I'm doing this because of you, because I've had this experience in working and having difficult periods, and I see how difficult it can be with productivity. So I'm doing this to help improve your productivity at work, to, make you better and make your organization understand that every month you go through something that they may not understand. And the pushbacks are from women. So my question is, I try my best, but at the end of the day, I'm human and my skin isn't that thick. So it's how do I continue to do this? Because we go to organizations, and where we've been incorporated, they're all guys that understood what I was trying to do and understood the benefits for their female staff. So how do I get through to women? Because, it's for us.
Sorry, let me just say something to that. And unfortunately, the pushback you've been having are from women. But when you look at it from the way you're looking at it, you're looking at it as they're not supporting you. But women are also uncomfortable. And that's the truth. They are very much uncomfortable with such a topic. So you might look as if they don't want to support you. No. So if they are not supporting you, go to the men. The truth is that issues like this, the men are more open to support because the women are shy. They don't want to. We are not expressive when it comes to issues like this. Do you understand? And they don't want to be put in a position where they have to speak, particularly from their own personal, experience. So don't look at it as women are not supporting. No. Look at it that they are also, you are very bold, though, to pick up such a mandate. Yes. So go to the men. Do you understand? Go to the men. That's what I would say. Go to the men.
Just to layer on that, because that was also what I was going to suggest, but don't fixate on how you're doing it right now, because there are 1,001 ways to address this same thing. So don't fixate on, I have to speak to the women, and it has to be an agenda where I'm telling them they should create a policy. How about I start with an educational program? How about I create an online course? How about I socialize, girls going into career on how to manage their mental health, whatever. Please, don't fixate at all. Expand your mind, right? And explore all the different options that are available to you. And don't feel like because somebody else has said no means that they don't believe in your idea or your idea isn't great. Very bold to be pursuing something like this, but don't fixate. Explore all your options and keep knocking until you get that yes.
Just really quickly, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. Just really quickly, something I thought about when you talked about what you perceived to be the lack of support from some of the women. I think that sometimes when one is in a position in which they feel like a lot of people might already be looking at them as though they are handicapped in certain ways, right? It can be difficult to feel like you're introducing additional sort of handicaps. Women in business already have to deal with things like a lot of their male counterparts or executives thinking, okay, I'll hire her and then, she'll be off on maternity leave and gone from the company for X period of time, right? And then maybe she won't be able to dedicate as many hours to the business because she'll be chasing after the kids. There are already these sorts of negative perceptions that we're often battling against. And so I think sometimes it can be really difficult to introduce something that might seem like yet one more addition to a list of negative perceptions that perhaps make us less suitable, for the highest levels of leadership and management. So I think have a little bit of understanding perhaps for their position as well and their perspectives. And maybe, just as has been suggested, by starting small, you can get them a little bit more comfortable with introducing these things in a gradual way so it doesn't feel like such a significant, additional challenge.
I think that's a phenomenal perspective. I hadn't, because, that's a specific challenge for me. So I was like, of course, that makes sense. But I can understand how in a corporate institution, there are different layers of complexities there. what I would say to you is, I remember when I started talking about visibility, the truth about it, I don't feel like anybody really cared. And me, my audience was women. And people used to say, what's that? Visibility, what does it mean? And all of that. You have to sometimes, and I find, this happens in Nigeria and Africa. Sometimes you have to build a brand, an international brand for local people to take you seriously. That's the truth. So this is a topic that has international attention and international weight. How are you building an international brand that positions you as powerful locally? So, I think that's a strategy you can explore. So are you partnering with any NGOs? Are you speaking on podcasts? How are you building a brand that people can then identify and think, oh, there's value? Because even if they don't want to implement the policy, they can invite you to come and speak. There are different avenues you can enter and start to build that powerful brand and become known. So, I remember there's this particular lady I had seen somewhere years ago. And I went to meet her, and I invited her for something, and she was very, no. 4 years later, she invited me to speak at her event, and she paid me. And the payment she gave me, it was not oh, please do this for us now. She paid me my full amount, no arguments. Why? That's right. No argument. Why did she do that? She told me, she was like, I've gone to ask about you. So she can't even remember the times when she was telling me no, and I was chasing her up and down the road. Right? But I had built such a powerful brand that when she picked up the phone and she asked 3 people, they were like, no, she's the one you should pay for this. So build your brand. It's very important.
I want to add something to this. Forgive me. I'm one of the persons who supports women's rights and wrongs. And I believe that yes, I support, look, if you said, that woman, she's a cheat, that's a lie. Meanwhile, oh girl, you cheat on that man. She murdered, she's a serial killer. That's a lie. She fired, she's a badass. That's how I am. And let me tell you why. I think that patriarchy has taught us that women should fit only one box. And so patriarchy has told us that because women are not in that box, that means that women cannot support women don't support women, and that's a crime. But there are men that don't support men. There are men that don't support men. There are men that would go and meet another guy and say, Baba, show me the way now, Baba, I beg now, what's this up, blah, blah, blah. And then he's not going to help him. He don't like the man. And I think that we have to understand that for the fact that you got a no from several women, that doesn't change anything. It's just a woman, if you remove the chromosomes, it's just a human being who just told you no. And I think that we have to, and hopefully, as we're talking about support and inspiring to move that needle and become who we want to be, whether an international brand or, don't mind that earring, whether an international brand, whatever it is that we're doing, we also have to understand that in the corporate world, there are women that are not going to support you, there are women that are not going to like you, there are women who would work towards your failure, and there are women that would go up the ladder and not throw the ladder down. Men have also gone up that ladder and not thrown it down as well. And so find who aligns with your dream and keep moving. Eye on the prize, tunnel vision. We're not switching sides. I come to her, she said no. Come to her, she said no. Come to her, she said no. He's going to say yes. That's all that matters. And then what happens at the end is this. And hopefully you're going to take this, is that don't let all those no's change you. Stay true to who you are. And so that when you go up that ladder, be the woman that throws the ladder down for the other woman. But if you want to be a bad woman, be a bad girl. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for our panel moderator. Thank you. If you have any questions, please go and ask them afterwards, please. Thank you so much.